Commander Tae-ho Kim stood at the observation deck, watching the alien inspection ship approach their mining colony. His hands remained steady as he gripped the metal railing, but inside his heart was racing. Everything depended on the next few hours. "Sir, the Helian trade inspectors will dock in 20 minutes, reported Captain Jin-Woo Lee through his earpiece. "All surface operations are ready for the show." Tae-ho nodded, even though Jin-Woo could not see him. The show was crucial. For 3 years, they had been building the most dangerous lie in galactic history. Every alien species in the galaxy believed humans were weak, poor miners barely surviving on dead worlds. They had no idea what was really happening beneath their feet. Dr. Hana Park joined him at the observation deck. Her face looked calm, but Tae-ho knew her well enough to see the worry in her eyes. "The construction teams are sealed off 15 kilometers down," she said quietly. "The fake mining equipment is running perfectly. Even our air samples will show the right mineral dust." The alien ship was getting closer now. It looked like a silver needle against the black space, elegant and advanced. The Helians were traders who visited human colonies to buy cheap metals. They thought humans were desperate for any trade deal. They were wrong about many things. "Remember," Tae-ho said into his communicator to all surface teams, "we are poor miners. We struggle to find enough metals to sell. Our equipment is old and breaking down. Act tired and grateful for any trade." Far below them, the real work continued. Thousands of human workers were hollowing out the planet Aurora. Giant machines carved tunnels and chambers through solid rock. The planet was being turned into something the galaxy had never seen before. A warship the size of a world. The Helian ship docked with a soft clang. Tae-ho and Hana walked to the landing bay to greet their visitors. 3 tall blue-skinned aliens stepped out. Their leader had golden markings on his forehead that showed his high rank in the Helian Federation. "Greetings, humans," the leader said in perfect Earth language. "I am Trade Inspector Velthar. We are here to check your mining operations and discuss new contracts." Tae-ho bowed slightly. "Welcome to Colony Aurora, Inspector. I am Commander Kim. We are honored by your visit." He kept his voice humble and tired, like a man who had been working too hard for too little reward. The inspection tour began on the surface. Tae-ho led them through fake mining sites where human workers pretended to struggle with old equipment. Piles of common metals sat in storage containers, making the colony look barely profitable. The workers played their parts perfectly, looking tired and poor. "Your output seems very low," observed one of the other Helians. "Are you having technical problems?" "Always," Hana replied sadly. "Our equipment breaks down every few days. We fix what we can, but replacement parts are expensive. We do our best with what we have." The aliens nodded with understanding. This fit what they expected from human colonies. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as a weak species that had only recently learned space travel. Most aliens saw them as harmless and slightly pitiful. But 15 kilometers below, the truth was very different. Massive fusion reactors powered construction equipment that could carve through solid rock like butter. Anti-gravity lifts moved building materials the size of city blocks. Thousands of the galaxy's smartest human engineers worked on weapons that could destroy entire star systems. The planet Aurora was not just being hollowed out, it was being turned into a spaceship. A spaceship big enough to hold 10 million people and armed with weapons beyond alien imagination. Aurora was one of 3 such projects hidden in different parts of human space. Inspector Velthar wanted to see the deep mining shafts. Tae-ho's heart skipped a beat, but he stayed calm. "Of course, Inspector. Though I must warn you, our deep equipment is even worse than what you see here. We can only go down about 2 kilometers safely." They took a lift down to the fake deep mining level. Human workers had spent weeks preparing this area. It looked exactly like a struggling mining operation should look. Broken equipment, small tunnels, dangerous working conditions. The aliens would never guess that real construction was happening much deeper. "This is quite dangerous work," commented Velthar, looking at the narrow tunnels and old support beams. "Do you not fear cave-ins?" "Every day," admitted Tae-ho. "But we need the metals to survive. We take the risks because we must." The inspection lasted 4 hours. The aliens checked metal samples, reviewed production records, and talked to workers. Every human played their role perfectly. They were tired miners on a poor colony, grateful for any trade deal they could get. Finally, the aliens were ready to leave. "Your colony qualifies for standard trade rates," announced Velthar. "We will buy your metals at the usual prices for low-grade human operations." "Thank you so much," said Tae-ho, bowing again. This trade will help us survive another season. As the Helian ship flew away, Taeho allowed himself a small smile. Another inspection passed. Another step closer to completing their secret project. Captain Jin-Woo Lee appeared beside him. All clear, sir. Construction teams are resuming full operations. Good, said Taeho. How long until Aurora is ready? 8 more months for basic completion, replied Hana. Another 4 months for full weapons testing. Aurora will be ready to fly within a year. Taeho looked up at the stars. Out there, the Vorthak Empire was growing stronger every day. Their warships destroyed entire colonies of weaker species. The Galactic Council did nothing to stop them. Most aliens believed the Vorthak were unstoppable. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Humans had been watching and learning for 50 years since first contact. They had studied alien technology and improved on it. They had built factories in hidden asteroid belts and trained armies in secret bases. Most importantly, they had learned to appear weak while becoming strong. The galaxy thought humans were harmless miners and farmers. Soon, 3 planet-sized warships would prove them very, very wrong, but that day was still months away. For now, the deception continued. Humans would keep appearing weak and grateful while they finished building the most powerful weapons in galactic history. The plan was working perfectly. Admiral So-Young Choi floated in zero gravity at the center of Aurora's main command chamber. Around her, hundreds of screens showed the planet ship's vital systems. Every display glowed green, indicating perfect operation. After 3 years of construction, Aurora was finally ready for her first test flight. All sections report ready, Admiral, called out Engineer Dong-Hyun Yoon from the propulsion control station. His fingers danced across holographic controls that managed Aurora's revolutionary gravity drive systems. Artificial gravity is stable across all inhabited zones. Propulsion cores are online and responding normally. So-Young nodded, feeling a mix of pride and nervousness. Aurora was humanity's first planet-sized warship, carved from the inside of a dead world over 15 kilometers in diameter. The engineering challenges had seemed impossible when the project began, but human creativity had found solutions that amazed even the designers. Commander Mina Seo approached, her expression serious but excited. Weapon systems are fully integrated, Admiral. All defense grids are operational. The main cannons are powered down for testing, but they're ready to fire on your command. The main cannons were Aurora's most terrifying feature. Each one could destroy a battleship with a single shot. Aurora carried 300 of them, along with thousands of smaller weapons and missile launchers. No single ship in galactic history had ever carried so much firepower. Begin the test sequence, ordered So-Young. Take us out of orbit slowly. I want to see how she handles basic maneuvers first. Deep inside Aurora's core, massive gravity manipulation engines hummed to life. These engines were humanity's greatest technological achievement, far beyond anything other species had developed. They could make a planet-sized object move through space as easily as a normal starship. The gravity drives worked by bending space around Aurora, creating artificial gravity fields that pushed and pulled the giant ship in any direction. From the outside, Aurora would look like a rogue planet that had somehow changed course. Alien sensors would detect gravitational anomalies, but they would assume it was a natural phenomenon. Aurora began to move. The sensation was strange. There was no vibration or sound like in a normal spaceship. The gravity drives moved the entire planet smoothly and silently. On the surface, fake mining equipment continued operating, maintaining the illusion that Aurora was still just a struggling human colony. Movement is perfect, reported Dong-Hyun. All gravity fields are stable. We're maintaining standard acceleration without any stress on the inhabited areas. So-Young smiled. The artificial gravity systems kept everyone inside Aurora comfortable, no matter how the planet ship moved. 10 million humans lived and worked inside Aurora's carved-out interior, and they would never feel the ship's motion through space. The interior of Aurora was like a hidden world. Vast chambers housed cities, farms, factories, and military bases. Artificial suns provided light and energy. Rivers and lakes had been created for both beauty and practical water supply. It was completely self-sufficient and could travel through space for hundreds of years without needing outside resources. Admiral, we're receiving a communication from Bastion and Colossus, announced the communications officer. Both sister ships are monitoring our test flight and report their own construction is proceeding on schedule. Bastion and Colossus were Aurora's sister ships. identical planet-sized warships being built in other parts of human space. Each was designed slightly differently. Aurora focused on heavy weapons. Bastion specialized in defense and shield systems, while Colossus was built for long-range exploration and carrier operations. "Send my regards to both crews," replied So Young. "Tell them Aurora performs beautifully. They have much to look forward to." The test flight continued for 6 hours. Aurora practiced basic maneuvers, tested her stealth systems, and ran diagnostics on all major components. Every system worked perfectly. The planet ship could accelerate, turn, and stop as easily as any normal vessel, despite being thousands of times larger. "Stealth systems are remarkable," observed Mina as she reviewed sensor data. "Even our own monitoring stations can barely detect Aurora when the camouflage is active. To alien sensors, we look exactly like a natural rogue planet." The stealth technology was another human breakthrough. Aurora's surface was covered with sophisticated holographic projectors and sensor scramblers that made the ship appear to be a lifeless rock floating through space. The fake mining facilities on the surface continued operating even during spaceflight, adding to the illusion. "How do our weapons test?" asked So Young. Mina's eyes lit up with professional pride. "Beyond our best expectations, Admiral. The main plasma cannons can destroy a standard battleship from 3 light minutes away. Our missile systems can engage entire fleets simultaneously. The point defense networks can stop anything short of a direct asteroid impact. But Aurora's most impressive feature was her manufacturing capability. Deep inside the planet ship, automated factories could build smaller warships, fighters, and equipment at incredible speed. Aurora was not just a warship. She was a mobile shipyard that could create and supply entire fleets. "Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting some interesting readings," reported the sensor officer. 3 Vorthak scout ships are investigating gravitational anomalies in the outer system. They seem confused by our test flight readings." So Young frowned. The Vorthak Empire was the galaxy's most aggressive military power. Their warships had been terrorizing smaller species for decades, and their scouts were always looking for new targets. If they discovered Aurora's true nature too early, it could ruin humanity's plans. "Activate full stealth mode," she ordered. "Make Aurora look like a completely natural celestial body. I want those Vorthak ships to see nothing interesting here." The stealth systems engaged fully. Aurora's surface now looked like an ordinary dead planet with no signs of life or technology. The fake mining equipment shut down and all energy signatures were hidden or masked. To any outside observer, Aurora appeared to be just another lifeless rock drifting through space. The Vorthak scouts spent 2 days investigating the area but found nothing suspicious. Their sensors detected no artificial energy sources, no manufactured materials, and no signs of intelligent life. They eventually moved on to investigate other systems, having no idea they had just encountered the most powerful warship ever built. "Test flight complete," announced Dong-hyun after the alien ships left. "All systems performed flawlessly. Aurora is ready for operational deployment." So Young felt a surge of pride and determination. Humanity had spent decades appearing weak, while secretly building the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. Aurora and her sister ships represented the culmination of human engineering, creativity, and strategic planning. "Excellent work, everyone," she said to her crew. "Return Aurora to construction orbit. We still have final weapons testing and crew training to complete before we're ready for combat operations." As Aurora slowly returned to her disguised construction orbit, So Young thought about the future. The galaxy was changing, the Vorthak Empire was becoming more aggressive, and smaller species were disappearing or being enslaved. The Galactic Council seemed powerless to stop the violence. Soon, humanity would reveal their true strength. 3 planet-sized warships would emerge from hiding to protect the innocent and establish a new balance of power in the galaxy. The age of human weakness was almost over. The age of human dominance was about to begin. Fleet Admiral Byung-ho Kang watched the emergency broadcast from his command center on Earth's moon. The holographic display showed burning ships and devastated colonies, as the news reporter's voice described the latest Vorthak Empire attack. Another peaceful species had been completely wiped out in less than a day. The Zilani civilization, which had existed for over 2,000 years, is now extinct, the reporter continued. Vorthak warships destroyed every Zilani colony and space station. No survivors have been found. This marks the 4th complete genocide committed by the Vorthak Empire in the past 6 months. Intelligence Director Yejin Lim entered the command center, carrying a datapad filled with classified reports. Her face was grim as she approached the Admiral's desk. "Sir, our deep space reconnaissance confirms the worst. The Vorthak are not just randomly attacking anymore. They're following a systematic plan to eliminate all species they consider weak or useless." Byung-ho turned off the news broadcast and focused on Yejin's report. As humanity's top intelligence officer, she had spent years building spy networks throughout the galaxy. Her information was always accurate and usually terrifying. "Show me the pattern," he ordered. Yejin activated a three-dimensional star map that filled the air above them. Red markers showed destroyed civilizations, yellow markers indicated species under attack, and green markers represented surviving civilizations still fighting back. "The Vorthak are working outward from their home territory," she explained. "They attacked the weakest species first, using their ships and resources to fuel further expansion. Each victory makes them stronger for the next attack." Captain Seung-min Han joined them, still wearing his spacesuit from a recent reconnaissance mission. His special operations team had been gathering intelligence on Vorthak military capabilities for months, often operating deep behind enemy lines. "Admiral, the situation is worse than we thought," Seung-min reported. "The Vorthak have over 3,000 warships now, and they're building more every day. They're using slave labor from conquered species to increase their production speed." Byung-ho studied the star map carefully. The red zones were expanding steadily toward human space. At their current rate of expansion, Vorthak forces would reach human colonies within 2 years. "Maybe less. What about the Galactic Council?" asked the Admiral. "Are they taking any action?" Yejin shook her head sadly. "The Council is paralyzed by politics. The Helian Federation wants to negotiate trade deals with the Vorthak. The Keth Collective claims this is not their concern since the attacks are happening outside their territory. The smaller species are too frightened to act." This was exactly what human planners had feared. The galaxy's major powers were either too selfish or too scared to stop the Vorthak genocide campaign. If someone did not act soon, billions of innocent beings would die. "Sir," interrupted a communications officer, "we're receiving an encrypted message from the Miran Republic. It's marked as extremely urgent." The Miran were a peaceful species known for their advanced medical technology. They had always been friendly to humans and had helped establish several trade agreements over the years. The message appeared on the main screen. A Miran diplomat appeared, but his usual calm demeanor was replaced by obvious terror. "To our human friends, we send this final message. Vorthak fleets are approaching our home system. We have no military capable of resistance. Our government is evacuating what civilians we can, but most of our people will not escape in time. We wanted to thank humanity for years of friendship. Remember us kindly." The message ended with coordinates showing the Miran home system. According to the timestamp, it had been sent 3 days ago. Byung-ho's heart sank as he realized what that meant. "Seung-min, what do we know about the Miran situation?" The captain checked his latest intelligence reports with a grim expression. "Long-range sensors detected massive explosions in the Miran system yesterday, sir. The Vorthak attack was swift and complete. Based on energy signatures, they used planet-cracking weapons on all inhabited worlds. Another peaceful civilization had been completely destroyed. The Miran had never hurt anyone, had never threatened any other species, and had contributed valuable medical knowledge to the galaxy. Now they were extinct because no one had been strong enough to protect them." Byung-ho stood up and walked to the observation window. Outside, he could see Earth in all its blue and green beauty. Somewhere out there, 3 planet-sized warships waited in disguise for his orders. Humanity had the power to stop the Vorthak Empire, but revealing that power too early could be dangerous. "Admiral," said Yejin quietly, "our spy networks report that human colonies are now on the Vorthak target list. They've been gathering information about our mining operations and military capabilities. They still think we're weak and defenseless. How long do we have?" asked Byung-ho. 6 months, maybe 8, before they launch a major attack on human space," replied Seung-min. "They're planning to hit 12 colonies simultaneously to test our defenses. This changed everything. Humanity could no longer afford to wait and watch while other species were slaughtered. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon the galaxy would learn the truth about human capabilities. Contact Aurora, Bastion, and Colossus," ordered Byung-ho. "I want status reports on all 3 ships within the hour. How soon can they be ready for combat operations?" "Aurora reports full readiness," responded the communications officer after a few minutes. Bastion needs 2 more weeks for final weapons calibration. Colossus is ready for deployment but requests additional time for crew training on the new carrier systems. And what about our supporting fleets? Asked the Admiral. Ye Jin consulted her classified files. We have over 500 conventional warships completed and hidden throughout human space. Another 200 are nearly finished. Our shipyards have been working at maximum capacity for 3 years. The numbers were impressive, but Byung-ho knew they would face thousands of enemy ships. Quantity was not enough. They needed to use superior technology and strategy to overcome the Vorthak numerical advantage. Begin Operation Revelation preparations, he ordered. I want contingency plans for early deployment if the Vorthak attack human colonies sooner than expected. Over the next few hours, encrypted messages flowed between Earth and hidden bases throughout human space. Military commanders received sealed orders. Intelligence agents activated sleeping spy networks. Construction crews began final preparations on weapons and equipment that had been years in the making. The most important message went to President Hyun-woo Nam on Earth. It contained a single question that would determine humanity's future. Mr. President, are we authorized to reveal our true military capabilities to protect human colonies and other threatened species? The response came back within an hour. Authorization granted. Humanity will not stand by and watch genocide continue. Reveal our strength when tactically appropriate. Make the galaxy understand that the age of Vorthak dominance is over. That evening, Byung-ho stood again at his observation window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vorthak Empire was planning attacks that would kill millions of innocent people. They believed themselves unstoppable because no species had ever successfully resisted their military power. Tomorrow, he would begin preparing to prove them wrong. 3 planet-sized warships and the full might of humanity's hidden military would soon emerge from the shadows. The galaxy was about to change forever. The storm was gathering and humanity would be its eye. President Hyun-woo Nam stood in Earth's orbital command center, watching 3 massive displays that showed different parts of human space. Each screen displayed what appeared to be a normal star system with mining colonies and trade stations. But hidden in those systems were Aurora, Bastion, and Colossus, waiting for his final authorization. Mr. President, announced Admiral So Young Choi from Aurora's bridge, Vorthak fleets are moving into attack positions. Long-range sensors detect over 400 enemy warships approaching 3 different human systems simultaneously. The moment had finally arrived. For months, intelligence reports had warned that the Vorthak Empire was planning a massive strike against human colonies. They wanted to test human military capabilities before launching their main invasion force. The Vorthak leadership believed humans would collapse quickly, providing easy resources for their expanding empire. All 3 Titan-class ships report, ready for immediate deployment, added fleet. Admiral Byung-ho Kang, our conventional fleets are in position to support the revelation. We can begin Operation Revelation on your command, sir. Hyun-woo took a deep breath. This decision would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. There would be no going back to being seen as a weak, harmless species. Once the galaxy saw Aurora, Bastion, and Colossus in action, every major power would know that humans possessed weapons beyond their imagination. Begin Operation Revelation, he ordered. Show the galaxy who we really are. In 3 different star systems, the impossible began to happen. What had appeared to be lifeless planets suddenly came to life. Massive engines ignited across their surfaces. Weapon ports opened like giant eyes awakening from sleep. The 3 largest warships ever built revealed themselves to the galaxy. Captain Yoon-ji-ro stood on Colossus's main bridge as her planet-sized ship decloaked in the Kepler 414 system. Around her, 200 Vorthak warships had just arrived to attack the human mining colony there. The enemy fleet was already celebrating what they thought would be an easy victory. This is Captain Yoon-ji-ro of the Human Defense Force ship Colossus, she broadcast on all frequencies. To all ships in this system, you are witnessing the beginning of a new age in galactic history. Humanity is not the weak species you believed us to be. The Vorthak fleet commander responded immediately, his voice full of arrogance and amusement. Humans, your pathetic tricks will not save you. We see only a single large ship against our entire fleet. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Yoon-ji smiled coldly. You see one ship. Let me show you what one human ship can do. Colossus opened fire with her main weapons, beams of pure energy. each one more powerful than the primary weapon of a Vorthak battleship, lanced out across space. 20 enemy ships disappeared in the first volley, simply vaporized by weapons they could not understand or match. The Vorthak fleet scattered in panic, but there was nowhere to run. Colossus's missile systems engaged, launching thousands of smart projectiles that hunted down individual enemy ships. Point defense systems destroyed incoming Vorthak weapons before they could even reach Colossus's shields. In less than 10 minutes, the entire Vorthak attack fleet was destroyed. 200 warships that had terrorized dozens of species were reduced to glowing debris. Not a single enemy ship escaped to report what they had witnessed. Similar scenes played out in the other two systems. Aurora faced down a fleet of 300 Vorthak ships and destroyed them all without taking any damage. Bastion encountered the largest enemy force, over 500 ships, and eliminated them so quickly that the battle was over before many enemy crews realized they were fighting a planet-sized opponent. But the most important moment came when Yunji activated Colossus's galaxy-wide communication system. Every major government news network and military command center received the same message simultaneously. Citizens of the galaxy, Yunji began, I am Captain Yunji Ro, speaking for all humanity. Today marks the end of Vorthak aggression and the beginning of a new era of galactic peace. What you have witnessed is not a trick or illusion. Humanity has built planet-sized warships capable of protecting innocent species from those who would destroy them. The message continued with footage from all three battles, showing the complete destruction of Vorthak fleets by human planet ships. The images were transmitted to every inhabited world in known space. We are not conquerors, Yunji continued. We are protectors. For too long, aggressive species have terrorized the innocent while the galaxy's major powers stood by and watched. Humanity will no longer tolerate genocide and slavery. Any species that preys upon the weak will face the consequences. On Aurora's bridge, Admiral So Young Choi was monitoring reactions from across the galaxy. Communication channels were exploding with activity as governments tried to understand what they had just witnessed. Admiral, we're receiving hundreds of emergency transmissions, reported the communications officer. Every major government wants immediate contact with human leadership. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. Even the Keth Collective is requesting direct talks. The reaction was exactly what human planners had hoped for. The galaxy's power structure had been completely overturned in a single day. Species that had lived in fear of the Vorthak Empire now had hope. Major powers that had ignored smaller species' suffering were suddenly very interested in human friendship. What about Vorthak response? Asked So Young. Long-range sensors detect massive fleet movements in Vorthak space, replied the sensor officer. They're pulling back from all forward positions and concentrating their remaining forces around their core worlds. Communications intercepts suggest they're in complete panic. This was the most satisfying part of the revelation. The Vorthak Empire had built their entire society around military dominance and the fear they inspired in other species. Suddenly faced with opponents they could not defeat, their entire worldview was collapsing. President Hyunwoo Nam watched the galactic reaction with satisfaction mixed with concern. Humanity had revealed their strength successfully, but now came the harder task of managing their new position as a galactic superpower. Mr. President, announced Ambassador Sujin Wang, we're receiving formal surrender offers from 17 different Vorthak commanders. They're abandoning conquered territories and requesting safe passage back to their home systems. What about the enslaved populations? Asked Hyunwoo. Liberation fleets are already moving to assist them, replied Admiral Byung-ho Kang. Our conventional warships are escorting former slaves back to their home worlds. The healing process will take time, but the nightmare is over for millions of beings. As reports continued flowing in from across the galaxy, the scope of humanity's success became clear. The Vorthak Empire's expansion had stopped completely. Enslaved species were being liberated. Governments that had ignored genocide were suddenly eager to discuss peacekeeping cooperation. But perhaps most importantly, smaller species throughout the galaxy were sending messages of gratitude and hope. For the first time in decades, peaceful civilizations could sleep without fear of extinction. Admiral, asked President Hyunwoo Nam, how long before our shipyards can complete additional Titan-class ships? Construction on the next 3 planet ships begins immediately, replied Byung-ho. With our revealed capabilities, we no longer need to hide our shipyards. The next generation will be even more powerful than Aurora, Bastion, and Colossus. As the day ended, humanity found itself in a completely transformed galaxy. They were no longer the weak species hiding on mining colonies. They were the protectors of the innocent and the enforcers of galactic peace. The age of human dominance had begun. Fleet Admiral Byung-ho Kang stood on the observation deck of the space station New Geneva, watching history unfold before his eyes. Representatives from over 300 different species had gathered to sign the new Galactic Accord, a peace treaty that would reshape civilization throughout known space. Outside the massive windows, Aurora, Bastion, and Colossus maintained a protective formation, their planet-sized forms serving as both guardians and reminders of humanity's commitment to galactic peace. 6 months had passed since Operation Revelation changed everything. The Vorthak Empire had collapsed completely, their remaining forces scattered to distant systems or surrendering to human peacekeeping fleets. Enslaved species had been liberated and returned to their home worlds. The galaxy's long nightmare of genocide and terror was finally over. Ambassador Sujin Wang approached Byung-ho with a datapad containing the final treaty text. Her diplomatic team had worked tirelessly to create an agreement that protected smaller species, while giving larger powers a voice in galactic governance. "Admiral, the last holdout governments have agreed to the terms," she reported with obvious satisfaction. Even the Keth Collective decided to join rather than face isolation. The signing ceremony can proceed as scheduled. The new Galactic Accord was humanity's vision for a peaceful galaxy. It established strict laws against genocide, slavery, and unprovoked aggression. More importantly, it created a joint peacekeeping force with human planet ships at its core, capable of responding quickly to any threat against innocent species. "What about enforcement mechanisms?" asked Byung-ho. "Three-tier system as we discussed," replied Sujin. "Diplomatic warnings first, then economic sanctions, and finally military intervention by human forces." The threat of facing our Titan-class ships has made most governments very eager to resolve disputes peacefully. Commander Tae-ho Kim joined them, now promoted to oversee humanity's expanding fleet construction program. His original deception at the Aurora mining colony felt like ancient history, but his engineering expertise was more valuable than ever. "Admiral, I have updates on our new construction projects," Tae-ho announced. 3 more Titan-class ships are under construction and will be ready within 2 years. These new vessels will be even more advanced than our original 3. The new planet ships were being built openly, with no need for secrecy. Humanity's shipyards operated at full capacity, protected by grateful allied species and watched nervously by former enemies. The galaxy now knew that human engineering capabilities far exceeded anything previously imagined. "What about the exploration variants?" asked Byung-ho. "Horizon and Discovery are nearly complete," replied Tae-ho with excitement. "These ships are designed for deep space exploration beyond the galactic rim. They carry the same defensive capabilities as our military vessels, but focus on scientific research and peaceful contact with new civilizations." This was humanity's next great project. With the galaxy finally at peace, human planet ships would venture into unexplored regions to seek out new species and expand the boundaries of known space. Instead of conquest and domination, humanity offered exploration and cooperation. The signing ceremony began in New Geneva's main assembly hall. President Hyun-woo Nam stood at the central podium, flanked by leaders from hundreds of different worlds. The hall buzzed with dozens of different languages as species that had never met before worked together for the first time. "Citizens of the galaxy," President Nam began, "today we leave behind an age of fear and enter an era of hope. The new Galactic Accord represents our shared commitment to peace, cooperation, and protection of innocent life." One by one, government representatives stepped forward to sign the treaty. Some were leaders of ancient civilizations that had survived by hiding from aggressive neighbors. Others represented newly liberated species, still recovering from years of slavery and oppression. The most symbolic moment came when former Vorthak commanders signed the accord on behalf of their remaining people. The once mighty empire had been reduced to a handful of peaceful colonies, their warships destroyed or converted to humanitarian vessels. Even they now benefited from the protection offered by humanity's peacekeeping forces. "Admiral, whispered a communications officer. "We're receiving reports from our exploration fleets. They've made contact with 3 new species beyond the galactic rim. All appear to be peaceful and are interested in joining the Accord." This was exactly what human leaders had hoped for. Instead of waiting for threats to emerge, humanity was actively seeking out new civilizations and offering them immediate protection and partnership. The galaxy was growing larger and safer every day. Ambassador Su Jin Wang took the podium for the closing address. "The accord we signed today is more than a treaty. It is a promise to future generations that they will inherit a galaxy where strength protects the weak, where diversity is celebrated, and where no species lives in fear of extinction." As the ceremony concluded, Byung-ho reflected on humanity's incredible journey. 5 years ago, humans had been seen as weak miners barely surviving on dead worlds. Today, they were the galaxy's primary peacekeeping force, respected by allies and feared by anyone who might threaten innocent life. Captain Eunji-ro appeared on the observation deck via holographic communication from Colossus. "Admiral, all 3 ships report normal operations. We're ready to begin our first joint patrol with the new allied fleets." The joint patrols were another innovation of the new galactic order. Human planet ships would be accompanied by vessels from allied species, creating mixed crews that represented the diversity of the peaceful galaxy. Former enemies now work together to protect trade routes and respond to emergencies. "Excellent, Captain," replied Byung-ho. "Begin the patrol schedule as planned. Show the galaxy that our commitment to peace is permanent." Later that evening, Byung-ho stood alone on the observation deck, watching the 3 Titan-class ships prepare for their patrol routes. Aurora would monitor the former Vorthak territories, ensuring that no aggressive warlords tried to rebuild the old empire. Bastion would protect the trade routes that connected hundreds of different worlds. Colossus would escort exploration fleets into unknown regions, ready to defend human diplomats and scientists as they made contact with new civilizations. The galaxy had been transformed, but Byung-ho knew this was just the beginning. Humanity's planet-sized warships were powerful enough to enforce peace throughout known space, but the universe was vast and full of unknown challenges. New threats might emerge from beyond the galactic rim, or ancient enemies might arise from forgotten regions of space. But humanity was ready. The 3 original Titan-class ships would soon be joined by 6 more, each one an improvement over the last. Human engineers were already designing even more advanced vessels for future construction. The galaxy's protectors would only grow stronger with time. A message arrived from Earth containing the latest construction reports. Humanity's shipyards were not just building planet ships anymore. Thousands of smaller vessels were under construction for allied species, replacing ships lost to Vorthak aggression. Human technology was being shared carefully with trusted partners, raising the defensive capabilities of peaceful civilizations throughout the galaxy. Most importantly, human colonies were expanding rapidly. No longer forced to hide their true capabilities, humans were establishing new settlements on hundreds of worlds. These colonies would serve as bases for further exploration and centers of learning where different species could work together to solve galactic challenges. As Byung-ho prepared to return to his quarters, he received one final message of the day. It came from a small species called the Yiltar, recently discovered by human exploration fleets in the Andromeda Spiral Arm. To the humans who protect the galaxy, the message read, "We are a young species just beginning to explore space. We have heard stories of your great ships and your commitment to peace. We request permission to join your galactic accord and contribute what we can to the cause of galactic harmony." Byung-ho smiled as he forwarded the message to Ambassador Su Jin Wang for processing. Every day brought new species into the fold, expanding the community of peaceful civilizations under human protection. The galaxy was becoming safer and more connected than ever before. The age of human dominance was not about conquest or control. It was about using overwhelming power to ensure that strength always served justice, that the weak were protected from the strong, and that every species had the opportunity to grow and prosper in peace. Humanity had built planet-sized warships to fight a war. Instead, they had won a lasting peace that would endure for generations to come. The galaxy had never seen it coming, and now the galaxy would never be the same.